JL, confidence is a big thing in sport. No doubt that game against Victoria would have installed a lot in this squad of players.
Yeah, no doubt. You can't give people confidence. You've got to earn it. It's like respect. You've got to earn respect. You've got to earn confidence. So I've been saying for a while we've had to hold our nerve from what's happened the first 8 weeks, but to get a result like that is a big confidence booster for the team against Queensland, going into Queensland.
And you wouldn't have expected a result like that, deep down inside? Innings plus runs win?
Yeah, I didn't think it was far off. You know, if you look at the team, we had our full quota back really, besides Mitchell Johnson. So we had our best team, and the message before that game is we've got no excuses. In a lot of ways, you know, we've talked about having teenagers playing and young kids playing. Well, our last game against Victoria, we had our full quota, some international players. So it was very pleasing to get that result.
How does this next test against Queensland, how does this test fare up against Victoria?
Well, they're both very good teams. On paper, Victoria had an outstanding team, so Queensland also got a very good team. Any team that's got Hopes and Hartley in the middle are always tough to beat. They're real street fighters, and we know that we saw last year how hard they are to beat. They're the current champions. They know how to win, so they're going to be a tough proposition this week as well.
Palmer's back, a player you have to be on guard on against?
Yeah, like the other 5 or 6 batsmen in the side, so I'm sure Luke will want to prove something. He's had a tough couple of years, so I'm sure he'll have plenty to prove in front of his old home crowd, so we'll treat him with respect. We know he's a dangerous player, and but hopefully he won't make any runs this game.
Great from Shaun Marsh's perspective to get a century in that second innings against Victoria. That's probably what he needed, because he was under a bit of pressure to perform early in the season, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, we had a brilliant Ryobi Cup, so we knew he was in good form, but it's nice for him personally. It's not nice for us. Again, one thing we challenged the senior players before the last game, with no excuses with the team we had. I challenged the senior players, Marcus North and Adam Vogels and Shaun Marsh, to stand up so the young kids could come in and just help out. So. And they did that. Marcus made another brilliant 100, Shaun made a brilliant 100, and Adam Vogels not only captained the side well, but got 60 or 70 as well. So it's nice to see the senior players standing up, and particularly for Shaun, you can see how dangerous he is when he gets going like that.
Marcus is an amazing story this season so far. Why has it happened? You know, have you had something to do regarding his mental state of mind and how he should prepare for this summer?
I think one thing we challenged him. You know, he's a senior player. He's got 5 Test hundreds in 20 Test matches, I think. So I've always known he probably just needs to believe that he is such a good player. I've said since he's a youngster, he's the sort of bloke you'd pay to watch bat when he's playing well, and it's been nice to see him playing so well. So he's taken up the challenge. We've been looking for a strong opening partnership for the last few years. It's nice to see him and Cameron Bancroft doing a great job for the team.
Can we just ask about the Ashes? So there's a lot of talk out of the Australian camp that they're going to continue going about things the way they are, particularly in the ways of intimidating the opposition and whatever. Are you pleased to hear that from their camp?
Yeah, I am, yeah. Oh, that's how Ashes cricket or Test cricket should be played, as long as they don't step over the line. The players know that there is a fine line there, and as long as it doesn't get personal, then it should be played tough. You go back to Bodyline, I'm sure there's a few harsh words spoken back in Bodyline, so nothing's changed. The only thing that's really changed is that there's more cameras and more microphones these days, I would have thought. So it's been played tough as long as I've been playing the game, and certainly as long as I've been watching. I remember Rodney Hogg bowling to Jeff Boycott, and I remember Dennis Lilly and Jeff Thompson bowling to England as well, and there's always been tough, hard cricket, and that's how Ashes cricket should be played.
Do you think Australia's well placed to win the series now?
Well, it's a huge advantage winning 1-0, being up 1-0. I think it was, if they can stay on top of Alistair Cook, who's the captain and an outstanding player and a very strong leader. If they can stay on top of him, and they've got to play the third test here at the WACA, which is going to suit Australia. I mean, the WACA's back to its fast, bouncy best. So, if we can go into this test, the third test at the WACA, I think it'll have a huge advantage for Australia, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that.
What was your assessment of the state pitch use last week, the Shield game?
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, if you saw Nathan Coulter-Nile last week was bowling, and Sam White was taking most balls above his head, and Jason Berendorf the same. It's a great credit to both those guys. Jason Berendorf particularly, because he's had such a great pre-season and lead up. Sam Whiteman was taking most balls over over his head. So it's a fantastic wicket. You always get value for your shots here because the outfield's so fast. But the margin for error for both batsmen and bowling is very small. So, it was brilliant to watch. We've seen 2 great Shield games played here now, and I think it's going to be a sensational Test wicket.
What's the most pleasing thing about the last couple of weeks with you? I mean, obviously a very strong win last week. After disappointing start to the year, not on effort but on results, I guess. I mean, you've talked about the senior players, but what do you think is that the rest of the squad can take out of the last week or so?
Well, Nathan Coulter-Nile made a really good point that after the Adelaide game, we bowled for a long time in Adelaide on a very flat wicket, and he made the point at the end of the game that he hadn't seen a team that was stuck together like that, and their body language was up, and he reiterated the point after this game. We're in the field for a long time. He made them follow on, and he said that he was thrilled to see how the guys are sticking together, and there's the spirit strong and the attitude strong and the body language is strong, and just the way they're gelling together and working hard together. It's pleasing to see. So for me, that's probably the biggest thing, that despite the results, that the guys have still been working hard, and they're still. That was nice for them to get a result last week to, I guess, justify the hard work they're putting in.